Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the channel IT Simplified and this new video on Azure. And today I'm here to talk about what are the things to keep in mind while choosing platform as a service in Azure for SQL database. Now, if you're aware of this term PaaS, or also known as platform as a service, most of the public cloud vendor take care of a lot of stuff underneath. So you don't need to worry about patching, you don't need to worry about the upgrades, the backup is taken care of. But there are certain things that you still need to keep in mind, because under the hoods, the way that high availability means, it might differ from one organization to another, and there are a couple of other options which I'll try to break down and simplify so that you can choose the right solution in case you're thinking of deploying SQL database as a service in Azure. That's the topic today, and let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. So say if you want to deploy this SQL database within Azure, and I'm talking about PaaS services. Anything and everything which I'll talk about will be in PaaS. So when you want to deploy this within PaaS, there are different service tier that you need to choose from. They have general purpose and standard. I'll keep it under one category. And then you also have premium and business critical. And the way high availability is achieved in all this is a bit different. So for example, in standard and general purpose, the way it is achieved is they segregate compute from the storage. So when your database is getting upgraded or there's some patching is done, the storage is offloaded to the secondary because there are multiple nodes in that. For most of the organization, you won't see the difference, even though there might be a difference in terms of performance of the application. But most of the organization, they can withstand that. When we talk about premium and business critical, if you are not in that 90% of the category, your application requires better performance. The way high availability is achieved in this tier is very similar to the way the always on capability with SQL database. So they integrate the compute and storage, and it is always on, and they do a local caching on the storage. So even though the database is getting upgraded or it's getting patched or any of those kind of scenario, you won't see much difference in terms of performance of application as compared to general purpose and standard. Now, another thing to keep in mind is the backup, because when you talk about these PaaS services, the backup is done for you. Again, it can vary. You can always have a long time retention also, but generally backup will be done by the public cloud vendor for you, in this case Azure. And in case something happened to your database, you can restore that back to the point you want. And this is using geo redundant storage. So basically the storage is geo redundant, so your data is replicated to another location or another region, I will say, within Azure region. And in case the whole database goes down, you can use this storage to restore back your database in the location A or region A. And that is also done within the PaaS services. But for a lot of customers, the time it takes to restore, they cannot withstand that, so they need even high availability. So let's look further into that. So let's take another example. So what I'm going to do is, I have this region A, and I have this region B. And I deploy this database in this region. It's a SQL database, right, which my application is using. So what you can do is you can configure something what you call a geo replication. And this will come into play if the one that I talked about so far won't meet your SLAs or your application requirement. So with geo replication, you can replicate the database to another location or another region, which is geographically paired with your region. And in case something happens to the region A, the whole region goes down, you can bring your database right over here, right? So even better SLAs as compared to the one that I talked about in Johnston, because that is pertaining to the region-wise failure. Basically, in case the region is still there, and you still need to restore and different components available in that, right? So in this case, the whole region goes down. We have geo-replicated that to a region different from the main region, and in case your region A goes down, you can bring the database up. But a couple of things to keep in mind is you need to have some sort of management script which should be running on in region A database to tell you that this region is down and you need to fail over this to region B. So it's like going to be a manual kind of failure. Another thing is that when we talk about database, there are connection strings. So if your application is using the connection string in region B, you need to change the connection string. And again, there is a human intervention involved. So somebody has to go and tell that, okay, the region A has gone down. So you need to use the connection string in region B. And the third thing to keep in mind is that when we talk about geo replication, we are talking about one database to one database, right? That's how it is replicated. So you need to pick one database and you need to replicate to the another database. And again, that won't work in a scenario in case you have multiple database. So you see this geo replication is great, will work in 99% of the time for most of the organization. But again, what happens if your SLA requires that you cannot even have a downtime of a minute, because maybe that minute there is millions of transactions are happening across the globe, and that can lead to losses of in terms of finances up to millions of dollars. So you need to have even further high availability options available. So let's look at even further. There is something what you call auto failover group. So what auto failover group will do that, it's under the hood, it's still using geo replication. So it's still using geo replication, but what that will do is you don't need to run any management script, right? That is taken care by Microsoft for you. And intelligently it will tell that the region A is down, so the traffic should be routed automatically to region B. So that is taken care of for you. Secondly, and most importantly, you don't need to worry about changing the connection string, because and you need to have some settings done when you're configuring that within the Azure portal. It will know that the region A has gone down, so you need to have the connection to the region B. So there is no need of changing the connection string. It's all automatic for you. And thirdly, when we're talking about multiple databases, you can put group of databases, not one-to-one, as in it's in the previous case which I told you. You can group multiple databases in this auto failover group, and that will allow, if that application needs that group of databases and is dependent on that, it will replicate the complete group of databases to the region B, and your application will keep on running. From the user point of view, they won't see any downtime. So I think that's a great functionality. So as I said, even though a lot of organization they want to choose platform as a service and high availability, the way high availability is done in this different tiers and different option differ and depending upon what kind of SLAs requirement you have for that application, you might need to choose one over the other. I hope you found this video on SQL database platform as a service useful. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.